In this video, we're going to continue looking at our master data for Business Central. And in this video, we're going to have a look at the vendors. So I'm going to my vendor list view, pop that back into the list mode, and we'll open up our first vendor at the top here. So at the top of the page, we've got the vendor number and the name, so we can see that easily on the card. We're then split into a number of what we call fast tabs. So we've got the general fast tab, address and contact, invoicing, payments, receiving, and Intrastat. Those can be collapsed if needed. So if you don't want to see all the fields, you can reduce those down. And once a fast tab is open, as a default, you will see default fields. And then you have a show less, show more. So if I click on show less, it will take me back down to the standard default fields. All of that can be customized in profile customization if you want to change what you see. So if we start off with the general fast tab, so the first thing we've got is the vendor number. So that's their unique ID. We've then got their name, whether or not they're currently blocked. And if I drop down to there, my options are block them for payment or block them for more. So payment will stop me paying them, or will stop me processing anything for them. Okay. Then got privacy blocked. So if we want to limit access to the data for during daily operations, we can do. Then got the last date modified, current balance, which we can drill into, so we can get through to the vendor ledger entries that are currently live. We've then got the balance LCY as a customer. So if we use the contact record to link the vendor to an existing customer, we will then see their balance as a customer here as well. Then got the document sending profile. So document sending profiles allow us to set the default for how we are going to communicate with this customer. So are we going to communicate with them electronically or email or print? So we can set that up. Then got their search name, so we could also change that if you want to be able to search for them as something different. As a default, that will always inherit the vendor name. Then got the IC partner code, so if this was an intercompany vendor, they would need an IC partner code in order for us to carry out intercompany transactions. Then assign a purchaser to the vendor, so we can default a purchaser to the vendor itself. If we are using responsibility centers, which is a way in which we can segregate a larger organization up across regional offices, we can do that. Then got disable search by name if we want to. Company size code, so we can specify the size of the vendor's company and we can choose what those are. We can also link in sustainability certificate numbers. So if we're doing any sustainability work within Business Central, we can link a certificate to them here. So that's the general section. Then got the address and contact. So in here we've got their address fields, then got their phone numbers, email address, homepage. Click on show more. It's got a couple of little extra bits. And we can also then select the primary contact, language if we need to, and so on. Invoicing, so within here we've got their VAT registration number, EORI for customs purposes. We've then got the GLN, so if we are operating electronic document receiving, we can specify the number. We've then got the copy by from address to quote, so if we are doing if we're doing quotes to people within a vendor, we can choose whether the address comes from the vendor card or from the contact itself. Then got the pay to vendor number. So it might be that we place orders on sort of on branches of a larger company, and it might be that we actually pay to the sort of centralized office or centralized company when we actually make our payments. Then got the invoice discount code. So if we're operating invoice discounting, an invoice discount code will get created with the same number as the vendor number when it's created. We can then choose to have prices including VAT. So most companies would operate with prices net, but you can also say for particular vendors or customers that we want to operate with gross pricing. We then got self-billing agreement. So if we've got a self-billing agreement with this vendor, we can tick that. Then got the company registration number. Then we've got all of our posting set up. So we've got the general business posting group and the VAT business posting group and the vendor posting group. Okay, so we've got all the different posting groups linked to the vendor itself. We can also then select if the vendor is liable for withholding tax, if we need to worry about calculating withholding tax. Then we've got the payment section. So in here we've got a prepayment percentage. So if we are going to use prepayments in the system when we operate with this vendor, we can set a default percentage that will then apply to all of the documents that we create afterwards. Can still be changed on a document by document or even on a line basis, but that's the default for the vendor. Then got the application method. So in there we've got manual or apply to oldest. So this is controlling when we are posting cash to this vendor. Are we going to manually apply entries to the invoices, or are we going to let the system automatically apply to the oldest ones? We then got the payment terms code. So this is our contractual payment terms that we've agreed with the vendor. Payment method, so how we pay them. We then got a priority. So priority is used on the suggest vendor payments batch, which we can use. So when we get Business Central to suggest who we need to pay based on due dates, we can use vendor priority to prioritize the vendors. Then can then block them from payment tolerance. So that will prevent us from payment tolerance being used when we're doing our vendor payments. Then got preferred bank account code. So we can create multiple bank accounts for a vendor, and this is just allowing us to select our preferred code when we are processing payments to them. Partner type. So whether or not this is a company or a person. Same for Intrastat. Then got the cash flow payment terms. So when we're using the cash flow functionality in Business Central, it will use the payment terms code from the vendor itself, and that will be on the posted invoices as well. If we know that we normally pay this vendor early or late, we can then actually load in a different payment terms code in here that the cash flow we consider. Okay, so just allows us to have a bit more control over how the cash flow generates in terms of this particular account. We can then specify the number of the vendor, so we can add in a creditor number, and we can also exclude them from any payment practice calculations. In the receiving section, we've then got the location, so we can set a default location for the vendor, so that is then where we'd normally interact with them from. So this is our internal locations. We then got shipment method code, so these are Incoterms, so these are standard shipment methods used worldwide, so we can specify that. We can then add in a lead time calculation, so we can add in an additional lead time for this vendor. Then got base calendar and customized calendar, so we can select if we've got one or more base calendars, we can select those for this vendor, and then if that vendor then doesn't operate on the same base calendar as us, we can then customize that calendar to say these are the days that vendor actually operates. Then got an over receipt code, so within Business Central we can also create over receipts, so potentially if a supplier will over deliver to us, we can enter in an over receipt code to allow us to over receipt against the purchase order. We then got the receive e-document too, so this is where we're receiving whether or not we're going to receive purchase order or purchase invoice. And then at the bottom we've got the Intrastat fields, so the default transport type for returns, and then also the default transport method. Okay, so if you are operating Intrastat, you will need to populate those as well. Over to the right, we've got the Factbox. If we click into the summary, I can actually generate an AI summary of the vendor. We can add in a picture, and then we've got vendor statistics down here, and then we've got some Q tiles which are showing us all of our open and posted documents for this vendor. We can quickly jump into those. If we go back up now, you can see that the AI summary is now generated, so it's telling us that we've got a current balance, which is all overdue. We've also got some outstanding orders, and the last payment date was on the 6th of February. Okay. We've also got in the Factbox, we can click into attachments, and we can add in any documents we want to link to this account. We can then add in any links, so any URLs will link to the account, and then any notes. So that was the sort of overview of all the fields on the vendor card. I hope that you found this video useful. If you'd like to see future content or you've got any comments, please drop them below. Consider liking the video and subscribing to my channel for future content. Thank you very much.